This is Natalie Rolls, and you are listening to the Bill Podcast. Presented by Patrick Stratford. Brought to you in association with GeorgeFairbrother.com, shop.saturdaymorningpress.co.uk, vanguardcomics.co.uk, gibconsultancy.co.uk, mcr-seo.com, and donspillane.com. What's the difference between robbing a bank and robbing a mafia bank? Sarah and Joshua are about to find out. One is a world-class hacker, the other a master safecracker. Together, they make a killing in this international crime thriller by former Scotland Yard detective Don Spillane. Hustling the Mob. On Kindle and paperback from Amazon. Find out more on donspillane.com.
Hello and welcome to the Bill Podcast. It's Oliver here. I hope you are all well. My huge thanks to Natalie for narrating that action-packed promo for Don Spillane's Hustling the Mob. Don is a former Scotland Yard detective, and we're very grateful to have his support as a sponsor of the Bill Podcast, and I'm looking forward to inviting him on the show soon to talk to us about his police career and his new career writing crime thrillers, so stay tuned for that. But today it's Patrick Stratford who has delivered a knockout podcast with not one but two Sun Hill legends, Karl Collins and Chris Simmons. Over to you, Patrick.
Hello there.
Hey, Patrick.
Hello there. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you loud and clear. It's nice to see you.
How you doing?
Nice to meet you both. I'm a huge admirer of both of your work on the bill and everything you've done.
I bet you say that to all the boys.
Thank you both for being here. Karl, welcome to the Bill Podcast, and Chris, welcome back to the Bill Podcast.
Oh, you've done it before? You've done it before without me?
Yes, you did one with Sally back in 2020.
Yes, I did, didn't I?
We actually did meet before, Chris. I came to see the Still Room back in 2022.
I remember.
Yeah,
It
it
was a great show, that.
Oh yeah, it was great to meet you and Sally after seeing you both in that. In fact, when I actually interviewed Sally recently, and she reflected on the hard work she had put into it, and I just wanted for you as an actor, Chris, how was that whole experience for you and the company as a whole?
Oh, I've not been on stage for a while, so I was super excited. I would do stage at any point. I absolutely love it. I remember Sally is as daft as a brush. She's as daft as they come. When it comes to comedy and stuff. And when I read it, I just looked at the part and I thought, oh, what an absolutely brilliant part to play. One that you can push boundaries with. And so we would talk on the phone lots about just adding bits on to this sort of like, comedy character that you don't often get a chance to play, So it was brilliant. I mean, don't get me wrong, it wasn't just all slapstick. He had a heart and, he had a lot of troubles going on, but I loved the comedy of it. Absolutely loved it. Yeah.
You had some brilliant physical business in that play, and I think one of the things that was mentioned in you and Sally's interview was the sort of the drop kick that you do, and you did it in the play.
I've only got one dance move, and I think it ends up in every single play that I do. So. When they say, "Has anyone got any dance move?" I've got one. It's quite impressive, but I've only got one. But yeah, no, it was great fun. And she got me doing like a little Muhammad Ali shuffle. Whenever he started to walk, he had a little shuffle as well. It was great. I was like, load me up. I'll do anything, As long as you try to keep the truth of it, you try to push it as far as you can. Yeah.
Well, that was what was so funny and touching about it as well, because although it was like funny, it was really believable and truthful. So you laughed at him, but you laughed with him, and also you were moved by it as well.
Yeah, he was quite sad.
Oh yeah,
definitely. Yeah. And Nigel said that, our director is wonderful. Nigel was like, yeah, it's great, Chris. Yeah, the bits. I said, can I try this, Nigel? Yeah, try that. But Nigel would always be, keep him truthful. Otherwise, like Carl says, then then it does become slapstick. You know what I mean? So long as it comes from a truthful place. Yeah.
And from Sally putting herself out there creatively, now you've done the same with the Broken Arrow. So please tell me, how did that project first come about?
It came about from a friend of mine down here who had the idea, and I knew a really sort of funny comedy writer, and I thought the idea was brilliant. And I married him up with the writer, and he wrote the script. I've been around a bit. I thought, well, I'm quite tenacious. I can hustle for money. I know lots of actors. I sent the script out. I said very, very quickly that how we landed Sue Johnston was. I said to our producer. At the time, Charles, I said, does your printer work? He went, yeah. He said, oh, by the way, Sue Johnston lives around the corner. I said, quickly, print the script off. We ran round to Sue Johnston's house, knocked on her door. She peered open through the door like this. And I said, I'm really sorry to do this, but I've got a script. I said, it's a comedy script. And I said, you'd be wonderful to play Mrs. Barnes, the lead character's mum. My number's on it. I'm really sorry. And I ran off. And then 2 days later, she phoned back and said, Chris, I think your script's wonderful. Where are you at with your finance? I'd love to play Mrs. Barnes. Do you want a letter of intent from my agent to say that I'm involved? I was like, oh my goodness, that's how we get our first actor. And again, I've known, Carl's one of my best friends who I just said, Carl, will you have a read? Pick apart. And luckily Carl had a read, and I've got a few lovely friends like Carl that would just come out for you, basically. Carl's always busy doing lots of other work, and luckily he took some time out and came and filmed with us for a couple of days. I had lovely Kieran Griffiths, who was also in the bill, who's done lots of other work, and Mark Wingett and Alan Ford. But it was all based on the script. Don't get me wrong. I don't think, well, he may have done, because he's a really dear friend of mine. But, Carl read it and thought,
Yeah, no, hilarious. And Chris is underestimating our relationship. Truth is, I would have come out to say one line if Chris was doing it and asked me to do it. And it wouldn't have depended on the script at all. I would have done it, whatever, if Chris had asked me to do it. But it was a total plus that it was really funny and it was really brilliant. So I was really keen to do it. So yeah, I didn't hesitate when he asked me to do it. So,
is that 20 quid? Is that 20 quid?
Yes, love me paid for it, by the way. Look, I minted. For me, it was a no-brainer. And I know how tenacious and how badgering Chris is in his life. So I knew there was no chance this was not going to get made. So yeah, it was a no-brainer for me to come out and do it. Absolutely, yeah.
And you've been to the cast and screening. And
yeah.
The cast and screening went down terrifically, Patrick. But don't get me wrong, there was a lot of love in the room. We watched it, and I was sitting at the back biting all my nails, and my Sarah was saying to me, they're laughing. Just stop worrying. And I came out, and it was wonderful. But I still wasn't pleased. As in, because there was a lot of cast and crew who were involved. So there was a lot of love in the room. So then we went and screened it at Southend Film Festival.
You get that for free, don't you?
Yeah, you get that for free. So we screened it at Southend Film Festival after that. So there's only 10 of us now sitting up the back, and there's 250 people, strangers that we don't know. And they laughed in all the same places. So then I looked at Charles Ledigo, our exec producer, and I said, I think we've got a good little film here, Charles. I really do. So now it's on the festival circuit, and we've got some distribution interest at the moment that we're chatting to. So it's see where it can go. It's a classic British zero to hero underdog story about a darts player with a few problems. And darts, while we were doing it, darts exploded. I mean, it was huge anyway, but it exploded with this new young kid. And as we're, because it's taken 2 or 3 years, this has, and now we've got to this point, we glanced over and thought, my goodness, darts is so huge. So we're sort of, riding the darts wave a little bit with it as well. But it's going well. Long-winded answer, but
yeah, I have to say I found it a really enjoyable film. Really funny performances, and including with you, Carl, in that scene in the hospital, which I think you played very well.
There's nothing funny about it. It was very serious. Very serious. Thank you.
But again, it was like even that scene that was dead serious, And Carl, brilliant actors that he is, he wouldn't be like, oh, where's my, it was a straight part. But even some of the looks that he had with the nurse played by Caroline Ward at this absolute numpty in the bed, when they're looking at him, were just, the comedy was just bleeding out of everywhere, which was, it was great. We were thrilled with it. I'm glad you've seen it, Patrick.
And it's hard as well when you're playing the straight guy to resist being funny, because you're like, I want to be funny. I want to be funny.
Yeah.
But actually, the important thing, and listen, Chris is one of my best mates, but he was also the director. So it's like, he's like, okay, that's great. Take it down. Yeah, no, don't do that. Don't do that. And it's like, you get your ego out of the way. He's my director right now. So, and he knows what he wants from this piece. Listen, it was easy to do that because Chris had a really clear vision about how he wanted it to be. So I was happy to service that vision, as it were. And it's a tiny piece in the film, but I was, so pleased to be involved in that.
I think he was day one. I think he was
day one.
Yeah.
And Chris, how would you say you found the experience of directing compared to acting?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I don't have a big ego, so I'm always asking questions, asking. I had a great young DOP. I know actors' brains, so I know how to ski down the slopes with actors, and I really enjoyed it. I loved it. I loved talking to the costume and the makeup and the art department, and I loved being across everything. I thought it was wonderful. I really, really enjoyed it. Our lead guy barely needed any direction. Steve Johnston was just wonderful. You whispered in his ear and he got it straight away and went out there.
Funny bones.
He's got funny bones. He's got funny bones. He's not in about 2 scenes. Apart from that, he's in every single scene. So if he wasn't as strong as he was, he had to carry this film, and I thought it was wonderful. But I started doing it on Hollyoaks when I wasn't in doing my scenes. I had lots of time on my hands, so I went in and shadowed the directors, and that's when I first got the bug for doing it. And I think if you've got a good team around you, and I wasn't technically the best, but I had a brilliant young DOP.
And that's the thing, isn't it? You've got to delegate. If you're a good director, will delegate and say, "Look, I don't know about this. Who's the person that's going to show me that?"
Yeah,
and not to get your ego get in the way and think you know everything when you don't, and have those people on hand and go, "Okay, what's the best way to get this from the scene or get that from the scene?" If you're just starting out, as Chris was in terms of being a director, you've got to have good people you rely on. Right?
Yeah, totally. And if your ego's too big, you're like, no, I'm doing it this way, and you're not listening to anyone else. You can just, you've got to be, you're steering the ship, but you've got to be part of the team. You know what I mean? Yeah.
What would you say you learned the most from the directors that you had worked with before on programs like The Bill and Hollyoaks and various other things you've done?
What did I learn the most? Just, trust your actors, trust the actors that I chose barely needed. I just knew out of about 40 speaking parts, 10 of them you'd recognise from TV. So when I knew they were coming in, I thought, oh, wow, this is great. So pick your actors well. So you're not trying to draw something out of an actor. You're not getting blood out of a stone. They're malleable. They can do it in different ways. Nigel Douglas said to me, you've got to, get over stuff really quick and move on. Get over stuff and move on. Otherwise, you can be stuck on a problem all day and your day's gone, because it wasn't like a £5 million film. It was, you've got to move quick and don't compromise. You've got to keep the art of the piece at the heart of it and make sure you get what you want. Yeah.
When you're an actor working on something, the day can go really, really slowly. You've got your bit to do. You're waiting for the lights. You're waiting for cameras. You're waiting for this. As a director, the day goes so quick. It's almost like there's not enough hours in the day. You have your schedule, don't you?
Yeah, totally.
But you literally have to, you have the really good first AD who keeps you on goal, and then you have to be single-minded in your vision, know what you want to do.
Yeah.
And actually, there's not much room to there's room to play, but there's not much. It can't be too baggy. Your day can't be too baggy, can it?
Yeah.
You've got to be really focused with your day. Having worked in TV a long time, as an actor, the day can go slowly. As a director, your day just disappears.
Yeah, so true, yeah. But we had a brilliant first. Hannah happened and she was wonderful. We showed all the scenes at the beginning of the day. She said, why don't you swap that round, do this. And you're like, absolutely, you run the day, I don't run the day. Yeah, I love being part of all of it. I absolutely loved it, Yeah.
As you mentioned, Karl, you have been in the business for as long as all of us can remember. So I guess take us back. When did you first get the acting bug? Were there any creatives in the family?
No creators in the family at all, actually. The only thing that I did is I did school plays, things like that. And then basically what happened was Central Television, as it was then, regional telly, I'm from Nottingham originally, Central Television, as it was then, started a drama group. They started a drama group. They auditioned local actors and local kids who weren't actors. They auditioned them to come and do drama. As a young working class kid, I didn't have any concept of how you became an actor or what that entailed or how you went about it. And because we auditioned for this drama group and I got in, you didn't have to pay for it. There's no way my parents would have been able to pay for me to go and do drama club and stuff like that. So you didn't have to pay. You had to audition to get in. And then basically the drama club consisted of just doing drama exercises, preparing for plays. And then every now and then, casting directors or directors from TV would come along, watch one of the drama sessions, and they would say, oh, we're interested in this kid for a part on telly or that kid. And cut a long story short, I got my first television job when I was 14. Even then, I still didn't really know what it entailed. I was like, what, I'm going to be on the TV? I really had no concept of it. And the funny thing was, I worked consistently from the age of 14, but I got to the point where the drama teacher said to me, you know, you could go to drama school. I was like, oh, okay, is that something that out there? You know, I mean, I was still so green. And so then I knew that if I wanted to get on in the business, have a long career, drama school was the road that I should go down. And that's why I auditioned and went to drama school, came to London at 18, and then, you know, worked my way through the business and have worked generally consistently. You know, there were times along that when I was like working in restaurants, driving vans, all that sort of stuff. And you never, ever feel secure as an actor. I mean, sure, some do, but it's like, even when you're at the height of your career, you're thinking, well, this will be the last job I ever get. You know, what I'm going to do after this? You know, well, I'm going to have to work in a bar again, you know, but you chip away at it. And if you believe in it, and it's the only thing you want to do, then, you know, that unfortunately that's your calling. But the drama group that I went to, and I was one of the original members.
It's quite a famous drama.
Oh yeah.
It's quite famous.
So it was called the Central Junior Television Workshop, and then it became the Television Workshop. And there's lots of well-known actors that would come out of there. Vicky McClure is, I mean, you know, these are younger people to me. Chris Gascoigne, who's been in Coronation Street for years. He was at the same generation as me. And you have like James Hooton, who's still in Emmerdale now. But then you have people like Samantha Morton, the famous actress, and she's been in loads of stuff and has directed her own stuff as well. And Vicky McClure is one of the most recognised ex-alumni of the workshop. And then you've got people like Joe Dempsey and a wonderful young actress who's in that big American show. Is it called The Last of Us? Big sci-fi thing about the zombies. It's called The Last of Us.
Yes, Bella Ramsey.
Bella Ramsey, there you go. She's from the drama workshop that I came through. Oh. Obviously, she's a baby in comparison to me, but yeah, she still goes when she's in the country. She still goes to the drama. Yeah. So it's had an amazing launchpad for a lot of young kids who from, you know, various different walks of life and backgrounds. And that's where I started. That's how I started.
And what would you say, Carl, you've learned most, and I guess Chris as well, what would you say you've learned most from acting for camera and acting on television as your acting careers have gone on? What do you mean in terms of how to be as a person in the world, or you mean as an actor for screen? I guess both. Oh my goodness. I mean, I tell you what's interesting is Chris and I both did the bill, and we've both done the Hollyoaks. Well, acting is acting, right? Acting is all about reacting, about being truthful. It doesn't matter whether you're doing a soap, or it doesn't matter about whether you're doing a £50 million movie. But the big thing about working on a continuing drama like the bill, on something like Hollyoaks, is you have to be malleable, don't you? You have to be able to think on your feet really quickly. You know, Hollyoaks, you're shooting 5 episodes a week with 5 different directors. On the bill, we were doing 4 different episodes a week with 4 different directors. You might be working on one scene on one episode in the morning. By the afternoon, you're working on another scene and another episode. And it's juggling all those stories in your head, and also learning to work with different directors and their different idiosyncrasies. So it's about being able to. Yeah, I'd say it's a great answer. Yeah. Being able to be malleable and being able to be quick brain. Think on your feet.
you know, knowing that you're in 3 different episodes, 3 different stories at any one time. And, you know, you've got to care about it, haven't you? Otherwise, you can just, sometimes you can phone it in, but you've got to really care about it. You've got to be a bit nerdy for it. You've got to, you know.
Having worked on dramas where you've got much more time, when it's maybe one director throughout a 6-episode series or throughout a film, you're just working with one director. That's a luxury.
Yeah.
That's a big luxury to be able to take the time, discover aspects of the character and of the world that you're in. When you're on soap, rehearsals.
Like,
when you're on soap, it's like that. Okay, great. Next one. And you have to go, okay. What does my character think at this moment? Because this is the scene that I'm shooting that is 3 episodes ahead of the other episode. So it's like, it's having a quick brain is really important, specifically with soap. You know, people really underestimate how difficult it is to work in soap. And I'm not playing no violin here, but you really have to, it's a real skill. It's a real skill, having working in soap. So I think when I go to other jobs where you have more time and more rehearsal space with a director, and sometimes you hear actors complaining is the wrong word, but having disagreements and stuff. And I think it's interesting because you have to, at some point, when you're working on soap, leave your ego at the door. You haven't got time to have an ego. You've just got to get on with it. Because you're working with lots of different directors, it's like, that director works like that. Oh, I know as an actor, that's what I need from that director. I know that director's not going to give me that. So I need to be able to juggle and see what I can get for myself in that. So when you get the luxury of having time with one director, it's like, oh.
Especially if you like them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you get the rehearsal and and you trust them. You're like, oh my goodness, you can, you know. That's why rehearsals for theatre are a lot different, especially you get so much time to, you know, someone will come in on a theatre rehearsal and deliver what they're going to deliver for you on stage in 4 weeks' time. And then another act will come in, you'll get absolutely nothing. You've got absolutely nothing. And you'll watch them go, if it's a 4-week rehearsal, grow and grow and grow and grow. And you're going like that, going, oh my goodness. Watching them create and try stuff and spit stuff out and do something different. And you're thinking, oh my God. And all of a sudden, you know.
And do something that's rubbish. And then go, oh, no, that's not good. So being able to fail as well is really important when you're doing theatre.
That's what I like, watching somebody create something. And then another director told me this once, said an actor will come in and go, there you go, that's what I do. And I'll deliver you that on the night in 4 weeks' time. And someone else will build it, which I think's
lovely, definitely.
Yeah, that's what you want to watch, isn't it? That's what you want to watch.
Because also you know that then on night 2 and night 17, it might be different. Again. Whereas the actor that comes in, that's what I'm doing. That's what you're going to get. That's what you get throughout the whole of the run as well. You know, TV and theatre are completely different animals, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I suppose with TV, it's difficult. Wasn't your question really, but I suppose with TV, it's difficult to imagine what you're going to see in a year's time, you know, on screen. You've got to trust the people around you, that, you know, your director and the other actors, that what you're doing, that's going in the camera, that's going in the can, it works. Because you haven't going to get time to test it with an audience like you do in live theatre. Go, oh, maybe that's not so good. Oh, I'll try this, you know. So you've got to really trust the people around you that what they're getting is going to be right.
And of course, Karl, you made a couple of guest appearances on the bill before becoming a regular. You famously went head to head with June Ackland as Everton Warwick, which eventually came to court. Wondered if you had any memories of those episodes.
I do. And it's so funny because Trudy Goodwin is such a wonderful, wonderful woman, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's just like one of the best. And
her name on the bill was the Dame.
The Dame. That's what she was called, the Dame.
She got embarrassed by it, but everybody there was anybody who deserved the nickname the Dame. Dame Trudy.
Yeah. I got that part. That was the first telly I did out of drama school. As you know, I'd done TV when I was younger and stuff, but after coming out of drama school, that was the first telly I got. Everton Warwick was supposed to be this community leader who had a bit of history. And, you know, you come and you get the script and you think, oh, it says here, I punch her in the stomach and then I punch her across the face. And I'm like, this is this is a police woman, you know. This is a police woman. And not only is it a police woman, it's June Ackland, right? So I get the script, and I remember talking to the director, and also you're a guest on this show, this long-running show, so there's reverence for that show, and also you also know you're a tiny cog in that episode. I wasn't naive enough to think that I was really important, but I remember reading it thinking, that doesn't sound right. My character's not going to do this. My character's going to really do this, punch this. It's one thing off the cuff, he backhands her by accident. And I remember having this conversation with the director, saying why Everton Warwick wouldn't punch this policewoman twice, this diminutive figure twice. And he's like, yeah, that's interesting. Anyway, you've got to punch her in the stomach and punch her in the face. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, fair enough. And of course, I mean, it was awful.
Do you remember the director's name?
I can't remember his name. But it was great. It was lovely working on it. But I did at the time think, oh God, my heart sunk, because I was like, ugh. But of course, the reason why was because they already knew that they were going to be having a court case, right? So it all rested on the fact that I attacked her in this way and then come back later for this court case. So it didn't matter what I thought the character did, because it's like, yeah, that's all very interesting and very well-meaning, but we've already written the court case episode, so we've got to do that.
It was a great training ground for actors who'd not done anything before.
Yeah.
You know, everyone had their first couple of lines on the bill. You know, that it was such a shame when it ended. My brain's quite when it ended, I was there right to the end. Karl had gone a few years before, but I was there right to the end. I've got quite a healthy actor's brain. I was thinking, oh, okay, great. Well, I wonder what happens next. You know, hopefully I'll do some more stuff. But I do remember thinking, man, you know, what happens to the actors that just have a couple of lines, or it's their first little job? It's like, now Doctors has gone. You sort of think, you know, what's left, man? What's left? Casualty for people. That's one show. You sort of think, it's so hard. It's such a hard profession anyway. So let alone, there used to be 5 or 6 shows where people would just come on and have their first little. And of course, we would have the beauty of the bill. We would have someone who did that, and we would also have, you'd have movie stars coming down their career, coming the other way around, going, oh my goodness, we'd be sitting with, wonderful actors.
It was such a lovely place to be as a regular, because there was no place for you. I mean, obviously there was the egos everywhere, but there was no place to have this ego, because it wasn't a closed shop. You always had guest actors in, didn't you, who come in, and generally the guest actors are coming in and it's their story. So they've got all the emotional turmoil and all the big stuff happening in this scene, and we're just there to service that, go, da-da-da-da, there you go. And they've got all the big... So we were constantly being pushed, because we were pushed as actors, because we had these guest actors who were coming in and we're having to create and give these amazing performances. So we couldn't just sit there and go, you got to really, pull your socks up, And I think maybe sometimes when you've got a closed environment, like when I say a closed environment, I mean like EastEnders or Coronation Street or Emmerdale, where it's just that arena. You're not having guest actors in every week. It might be easier to get complacent. And I mean, obviously I can speak for Hollyoaks, as I was there for some years, but I don't know about the other soaps. But it can be easy just to feel comfortable, and this is like, oh, this is my home, and this is how I behave, or this is how I perform. But when you're being kept on your toes all the time because you've got guest actors coming in, oh, it's a great place to be, isn't it?
It really was, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a place for it now if it was ever to come back. I mean, do you both think it could come back? Would you both be interested in coming back into it?
Personally, don't think it will now, because I think it's moved on so far. Yeah. Like the Line of Duty and other shows, you're thinking, wow, this is like different level now. But I do love the idea of going into a station, walking around the station, the characters in the station all the time. It's all, you really felt like you was in that station all the time, didn't you?
And they pioneered a lot of that.
Yeah.
The bill pioneered that sort of handheld camera, busting through doors. So you always felt like you were a character going through that.
I remember them saying that. Yeah.
And I remember and I think Chris is right. It's moved on so dramatically that it's hard to imagine a space for the bill now. I mean, it was 8 o'clock, so it was pre-Watershed. The amazing thing about the bill was, and I remember it being maybe 12 or 13, and the bill was like the first adult show that you could watch as a young teenager. And we laugh about it now because it feels like it was it was tame when we look back. But the reality was, for young teens and for family viewing, it was great. Now, could we have that again? Like Chris says, the Line of Duty, things like Luther have elevated the genre in a different way.
Yeah.
But the truth is, they are always going to be post-Watershed. They're going to be 9 o'clock. And I think, and I don't know if it was by, it was meant to happen like this, or it was arranged like this. But when they started to try and make it 9 p.m., it was already competing with stuff that was gruesome. And you can't really take the bill and then go, oh, we're going to go to 9 p.m. and we're going to have, you know, murders and shootings. It's not that demographic. The audience was not that demographic. And so maybe that sounded its death knell. I don't know. But I would, I have such fond memories as a viewer of the bill, let alone being in the bill, as a viewer.
My mum used to say to me, same, I'm about 4 years younger than Karl. And my mum used to say to me, when I used to watch it, she said, if you're good, you can stay up and watch EastEnders and the bill. Yeah. And I remember EastEnders going over my head at the time, but I remember thinking, oh my God, the bill, that all them police cars. And, you know, as a young kid, you're like, oh, you know, it was, you know, I remember Tim Key at the time said, it will never run out of stories. It will never run out. I think it got taken off for financial reasons, but I remember him saying, he said it would have never run out of stories. Yeah. It didn't come to the end, you know.
This is Natalie Rolls, and you have been listening to the Bill Podcast. Brought to you in association with GeorgeFairbrother.com, shop.saturdaymorningpress.co.uk, vanguardcomics.co.uk, gibconsultancy.co.uk, mcr-seo.com, and donspillane.com. The Bill Podcast is produced by Oliver Crocker and co-produced by Ben Adams, Glenn Cooney, Bryony Kelly, Maz Mirabilis, Alex Mockler, and Simon Wolfe. Our executive producers are Isabel Allen, Mark Bennett, Christopher Booth, Rob Cook, James Crissell, Rebecca Deeprose, Alana Dewar, Andrew Dyack, Dan Evans, George Fairbrother, Stuart Gibbon, Vicky Greatbanks, Luke Hegarty, Robert Hoger, Edward Kellett, James Ledane, Thomas Johnston, Dave Meakin, Gary Moncur, Danny Morris, Steph Morris, Laura Pinney-Fay, Isaac Powell, Alistair Wrigley, Michael Seeley, Don Spillane, Angel Stannard, Paul Statter, Patrick Stratford, and Sarah Went. Huge thanks to all you lovely producers who make the Bill Podcast possible. For over 200 hours of bonus content, visit patreon.com/The Bill Podcast.